7 out of 10 people taking Ingrezza can stay on their current dose of most mental health meds.
Hey, dude, when you get up again, cut the light on.
Just drive, operate heavy machinery, or do other dangerous activities until you know how Ingrezza affects you. Other serious side effects include potential heart rhythm problems and abnormal movements.
You shut the door too if you want to.
Ask your doctor about Ingrezza. As little
Hey, Jerry Beth, can you hear me okay?
I can.
And good evening to everyone else as well. Almost at 6 o'clock. We can start in just a moment. All right, folks, we'll go ahead and open up. Dr. Tackett, do you go by Pastor Tackett? Preacher?
Whatever you feel impressed to call me, Mayor
Brother
Reed,
John.
I'm okay with.
I appreciate you being here this evening. If you would, please, you've got the floor. If you would, open us up with an invocation again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. If you would bow your heads together with me. Lord, we humbly come before you today to seek your wisdom, your knowledge and presence before these proceedings begin. We acknowledge your sovereignty as well as our individual and collective need for divine help to effect change and release prosperity and blessing in this community. We ask that you place your hand upon our leaders and decision makers, prosper them, and let us all be mindful of the men, women, and children that are impacted by our decisions. As our leaders consider what is best for our community, let us remain united in purpose and vision for the success and prosperity of all citizens, with you as our constant guiding light. Bless this meeting and bless our leaders now, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Very good. Thank you for that. Very good prayer.
Thank you.
Dear Beth, if you would, take it away with the roll call, please.
Okay, Mayor,
Here?
Mrs. Stewart,
Here.
Mr. Richardson,
Here.
Mrs. Bridges,
Here.
Mrs. Elmore,
Here.
Mr. Bowles,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Hatton, Mr. Hatton.
I haven't seen him tonight.
Okay, I don't either. Mr. Florence. I've not seen him. I don't think I see him either. Okay, and Mr. Butler.
Here.
All right. All right, Mayor, we do have a quorum.
Thanks, Dear Beth. All right. Sorry, guys. Being a telephone operator back here. All right, first on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I think we got 3 sets of minutes to review. The packet went out, I want to say it went out on Friday, and I apologize. I had mislabeled the date and time, but it looks like everybody was able to make it into the room okay. On that Zoom link, it said that we were meeting on last Friday. Obviously, that wasn't true. So appreciate your patience. I'll say it again at the end of the meeting, but hopefully this will be our last virtual. We're going to go back to in-person meetings in March. So with that, I would like to, if everybody's had an opportunity to review all the minutes, there's no comments on them. I'd like to get a motion individually to approve the first set, which is January 10th regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion to accept those minutes. Ephraim.
I second that, Gibb.
Thank you, Gibb. Got a motion by Ephraim Jones, seconded by Gibb. Richard, any questions on the first set of minutes? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. I'd like to get a motion to approve the January 20th, 2022 condemnation minutes.
So moved. Coy Butler.
Second, Ephraim.
Motion made by Coy and seconded by Ephraim Jones. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, and then lastly, take a motion to approve the January 31st special meeting with the working session minutes as well.
So moved. Coy Butler.
Second, Suzette Elmore.
All right, motion's made by Coy, seconded by Ms. Suzette. Any discussion on those minutes?
I'm here, this is Michael.
Hey, Mike. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, this month we do have a public comment from Mr. Kelly Rather, Rather Rentals. With that, no introductions needed. So Kelly, I will give you the floor. I know 22 pages is a lot to submit for the council, and dare I say you can keep this conversation within 3 minutes. I'm not going to ask you to do that, but I would ask that just help us honor that rule and be as concise as you can be.
I'll try to be as brief as possible for everybody's time. Thank you for letting me have a few minutes. I do want to touch on a couple things. Just kind of want to let you guys know this experience that I've had trying to build some duplexes. I've got 2 built. A lot of you guys already know. Trying to get approval for 3 more. I was told 2 years ago by the city planner that there were no issues with building more than 1 structure on a lot. I did get approval for 2 originally. I've been told a lot of different stuff, a lot of misinformation, and I've had to spend a lot of time researching a lot of this stuff to try to figure this out on my own. You know, everything from I've got to have a unit that's got to be wheelchair accessible, which is not true unless the city wants to pay for it, and manhole for sewers and all kinds of stuff. But it has been an extremely frustrating process. Again, I've got approval letters. You guys have all the information. I'm not going to go through everything, obviously. But again, I was told 2 years ago that I could build these duplexes. I got approval for 2. I've got approval letters for 3 more that were given to me by Dan about 1.5 years ago. Now I'm being told recently that those letters are no good because Dan no longer works for the city. But due to that logic, I mean, anything you guys do for an employee, as soon as they leave, you guys are gonna have to go back and redo it. So that can't be accurate. There's just a lot of stuff here. I mean, I'd like to open it up for any questions that you guys have, but again, 2 years ago, I did what I was told, and now all of a sudden it's an issue when I come back and do 3 more. And I've done a lot of research on this, and I'm coming to the city. And in all fairness to everyone here, last Monday night, I went to Planning Commission and I asked the Planning Commission to review this, and Jeremy and the Planning Commission agreed to this. I have supplied Ryan on Wednesday last week, and I copied Jeremy and Gibb on there, a list of about 10 different cities and what they do per code. To me, this is a major issue when someone's telling me that I've got an approval letter and it's no good because he no longer works here. That should have been consulted with the city attorney, in my opinion, and that was not done. And I'll open it up if you guys have any questions. Again, I just wanted to express my frustrations here, and I've spent countless hours researching a lot of this stuff on my own. And it seems like every time that I get past something, the city throws out another hurdle at me. And it has not been a good experience at all.
Well, I went through the packet and researched the building codes, and it doesn't make any sense to me that from September 2020 to January 2022, that the same people who decided that the request could be approved are now saying it's denied. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I'd like to know a legal opinion on that. If Ginger has any thoughts on it.
I don't know. I wasn't part of the conversation where it was said that because of Dan no longer working for the city, that somehow that was not a valid approval, because that's not correct. Just because Dan's not here anymore doesn't mean that what he's done is not in effect. Now, what may have been the case then is that if the things submitted to Dan were different than the things submitted to Jeremy or whomever, that could cause a difference in outcomes on that, but not just because somebody's here or not here. So if that was said to you, Kelly, I mean, I believe you that that's what you heard. That should not have been what was intended to be said. And maybe that needed to be clarified further on that, but that was not something I was consulted with before that was said to you. My understanding is, I mean, basically what we do is we start out with the UDC, and I'm pulling it up here, the parts that you've actually put in the packet for us that says that you can only have one structure, one primary structure on any residential lot. So we start out with that being the first rule, and then we decide whether there are exceptions to that that can be applied either by variance or by planned unit development, PUD. I can't think of the initials of that. Ryan could probably call that out for me right now, but it's slipping my mind now what those are. But those are basically special units that are applied for ahead of time that we have done in several instances throughout the city for a certain tract of land that meets certain conditions to be that. My understanding is that this was not applied for as a PUD. So that's why it hasn't been considered as that from the beginning. When I look at the letter that Dan sent on September 25th of 2020, he's just approving. I mean, his letter literally says your request to build a duplex to be known and located at 922 and 20 Dismuke meets requirements as described for R2 residential. Thereby, your request is approved. He's just saying in that letter that one duplex is being approved. So to the extent that that's your reliance for all five of them, I disagree with that. Now, I do see that you got a second approval letter on that same day for another duplex to be approved, 9/24/26. But then there are approval letters for each of those, number 3, 9/28 and 30. But that's only 3 of them. So I don't, unless I'm missing something, I don't see where 5 of them was ever approved by Dan.
So I've already got approval for 2. I got a building permit for the first 2, first one, second one. These are for duplex 3, 4, and 5. Per the city planner, whenever all this started 2 years ago, again, my initial thought, and I even asked this, I asked about the one structure. It's circled in the code book. You guys have that. I did my due diligence on the front end. I was told there were no issues. The city planner even directed me to face them all towards the shared driveway going in the middle. I've done that for the first 2. I've even got addresses through 911 for duplex 3, 4, and 5. I've done that. The city has also put in 2 extra water meters out there for duplex number 3. I paid my plumber a lot of money to go ahead and run water and sewer lines. So I've done everything that I was told that I needed to do 2 years ago, and the code hasn't changed. Now, in Jeremy's defense, he's right. It says one structure per lot. And I think he agrees with me that this needs to be updated, hopefully. And I understand that completely. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But these letters were given to me because Dan was in the original meeting at Planning Commission. He was also in on 2 meetings, I believe, with me and the city planner and some different people. And he was in on all those conversations. And these letters, approval letters, were written by him because he was in on all this conversation. And there were no issues on this 2 years ago. And the code hasn't changed in the last 2 years. Everything has been the same. Nothing has changed.
Kelly, what is the size of the piece of land on which you're building these duplexes?
It is a 1-acre tract of land.
Okay. And I looked it up, and it's, you can put 5.
I need 7,500 square feet per structure.
And you can put 5 on a 1-acre.
I'm 200 square feet short of being able to put 6 of them on there.
Yeah. So that's not an issue.
That's not an issue. The issue is the one structure per lot.
Well, technically a duplex is one structure.
Right. But I've already got 2. I've already built 2 duplexes.
So I don't see
if I can only have 1, I'm already over. So someone's going to get upset because I've got more than one structure on an acre of land. they're going to be upset because I've already got two.
Okay, and it says the amended conditions, the property is zoned R2, which allows for dwellings, 2-family duplexes. Also allows for dwellings, multifamily as a conditional use, which is not what you're interested in. I mean, I'm with Kelly. I'm just at a loss as to see what the problem is here. Especially since he has built the first two, and I drove by and looked at them. They're extremely nice residences for people. And as desperately as we need housing for people that want to work or live in Lone Oak and work other places, why are we putting impediments in the way of people who are trying to benefit the community?
Mr. Mayor, may I address the question at hand?
Obviously, yeah, please do. And between you and Jeremy, if you guys don't mind adding some clarification that, you know, the Board of Adjustments has already met. They met 2 weeks ago. We spent over 2.5 hours, well, over 2 hours, it's about 2.5 on this particular subject. It was a public meeting too. So week after, we held a special session for this one topic. So in the last 2 weeks, you know, the city as a whole has discussed this publicly for at least a total sum of 3.5 hours or so.
Were we notified of those meetings?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see any notification.
So we post all of our events on our Facebook events page and on the community calendar as well. So if you go to cityofloneoak.com, that's where you can find all of the city meetings. Anyways, I'm not going to take the, Ryan, please feel free to go ahead. But it seems like from the last meeting, there was a definite, very clear way forward. Ryan, sorry, go ahead. I'll let you take the floor and explain that further.
Well, I'll keep it succinct because I want to be mindful of the fact that it is Valentine's evening and we're all here and not with our significant others. So with respect to everybody's personal time, there's a lot of people who have put a lot of work into this. Kelly being the applicant is certainly one of them. Jeremy as community development director is another. Karen Dill, who's chair of the planning commission, is another. So I'm getting some weird feedback. If y'all are getting that, I apologize. I'm not sure if it's on my end or yours. If it's not on yours, I'll continue on the audio. So a lot of work has gone into this, Alice, and I appreciate the questions you're asking because these have been vetted for quite a few months at this point. And so to update you, there is a path forward. The first question I asked when we got involved in this is how can we get this approved? And there is a path for approval. And you noted that the multifamily route is the way to do that. And that has been, it is approvable based on conditional use permit and has been for a long time. In this case, Kelly being the applicant prefers not to go through the multifamily route. And what is the unfortunate real life situation here is that both Kelly as the applicant and the city as the enforcer of the code that's been adopted are stuck in a technicality where the approvals that were issued were improperly issued because they don't meet the requirement. Now, what we can do is move forward based on the current department head making a determination, and that's what Jeremy has done in this case. And I asked Jeremy, how can we get this project done using the exact same logic that you are, Alice, that we need these units built in Lone Oak. And so that was my opening statement in the Planning Commission special meeting last week, is that we want these units to be built. We need these units to be built. It's just a matter of doing them correctly and doing them right. And so at this point, just to update everybody, last week, thanks to Kelly, he's done some research, and I've pledged to him and to Jeremy that I will offer my personal time, which is, I'm just going to say, a significant amount of time that I'm going to offer the city to help draft a change in the regulation based on an intelligent understanding of model language that other communities of comparable size have found to be a best practice. So Kelly's given us an extensive list of communities that are comparable that appear to have a higher density rate per acre that we should consider and that we can utilize as model language. And we're going to study that, and we are going to draft that. So the path forward that was proposed in the last planning commission meeting is that not that we bend the rule or misapply a rule for a one-time instance, but that we change the rule in order that everyone is playing under the same rules. And I think if we move forward based on, again, some best practice language that's been vetted in other parts of the state and create our own version of that that's right size for Lonoke, it seems like that a positive outcome and a win-win is coming, and is coming hopefully this month. So the path forward then would be for Jeremy and I to work to draft this language, and then that language would appear before Planning Commission, which regularly meets next week at this time. And then upon the approval of that language by Planning Commission, be forwarded to this body as City Council for adoption by ordinance into the Unified Development Code, thereby making some common rule change common for everyone. And that would then, by definition, make this development that you've got some of the paperwork on here able to be approved within the rules. So it appears we have a positive path forward. And again, I think everyone, particularly Jeremy, deserves a lot of credit for putting in the time to make sure that this is done well and done right. And I appreciate Kelly, his patience in the process, because it has been a long one. But again, I think we're headed towards a win. And I'll be happy to sit down with any of y'all as my colleagues here and again, review the process as it's been undertaken. But just know the Planning Commission has worked incredibly hard to be accurate, and I would say to be fair, and it looks like we're headed in that direction. So if that provides any help and hopefully some clarity to the process, that's what I have to offer here.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, if I may say something, Ginger, I know you mentioned the PUD. A PUD is for 3 acres or more. This is only 1 acre. So that's not relevant. And also, I know you made a comment about Mayor Reed, that maybe there was a question about him saying that he misspoke. I don't think there was any question. He told me more than once in the Board of Adjustment meeting that the letter was quote unquote no good because Dan no longer worked here.
Let me clarify. Maybe I didn't speak as well as I should have on that either. Jimmy Von Tuglen really helped us out by sending some memos to us, and he talked about how it's not so much that Dan's not here, so Dan's stuff doesn't count anymore, so much as if Dan incorrectly approved of something that violated our code, our zoning code, then that would be the reason for his statement not applying anymore. Not just because he's not here anymore, but because maybe his initial granting of the approval was not appropriate. So it maybe just our wires got crossed on how we actually expressed that, because that would be a correct statement of it, that if he gave permission outside of the scope of our zoning laws, then that could cause that to be not a valid granting of permission there. Not necessarily just because he's not here anymore. But again, I think that that Jimmy's done some work on, and certainly Ryan has too, on how do we fix this? Because again, I think we do all agree that we need more rental properties here. The zoning commission is based on a plan that the city puts forth to try to plan its city, but we also shouldn't be so rigid in our, on one hand, we've got to have rules and we've got to follow the rules, because if we don't follow our rules, then what's the point of having a rule? But on the other hand, if our rule doesn't make sense in the first place, that's what this legislative body is here for and can do, to try to change those rules if later on, upon reflection, maybe a different rule makes more sense here. And I think that's what Ryan was trying to get at, that there may be modifications that are necessary to our zoning code to allow for something like this, even if maybe it wasn't originally granted and allowed initially. So
right. I totally agree. And listen, I'm a rule follower, okay? And that's why 2 years ago, I came to the Planning Commission and I asked this of the commission, and I also asked it from the city planner. And I have to go off of what the city planner tells me. And again, this was all the same project. I did everything on my end to ask the right questions. And then I'm told everything's fine. And then 2 years later, you come back and tell me that it's not. Then I'm already out a lot of money and this is all the same project. And now,
I understand your frustrations though, Kelly, but if they had given incorrect legal advice on that, like let's say for instance, they said that you could build your duplexes out of cardboard. And I get that's a ridiculous example, but I'm just giving it. Let's say they said you could build it out of cardboard. Obviously, that's not a good idea. We shouldn't build them out of cardboard. That's bad advice that you would have been given had they given that as advice. And so if once later on the bad advice was discovered and something else is given as going forward as what the actual rule is, then we don't get to rely on the bad advice just because somebody told us that. But again, I think we can talk about how it happened, how it didn't happen, whatever, or we can talk about how to fix it. And I think that's where Ryan's getting at is let's look at it from a how to fix it part. We can all point fingers about what happened 2 years ago or did or didn't, or what people understood or didn't understand, or we can fix it. And I think that's the more important point is let's fix it and let's figure out a way to make this happen, because I think we do support your plan as a whole, but we can't show favoritism by saying, okay, Kelly can do it this way against the rules, but person B can't. So we're trying to put the plan and the rules in place together.
I want to be clear. I'm not asking, I asked to be on the agenda to give the city council information of the experience that I've had, all of the stuff that has been thrown at me and all the stuff that I've had to research. I'm not asking for approval. I just want you guys to know how the city has conducted business with me. And it has not been a positive experience. And if it's happening with me, it's probably happened with other people, I would assume. And again, I've spent countless hours on this. I'm not trying to argue about the code. I understand the code just as much as anybody else here or on planning commission. I'm not saying that, but whenever I'm told something, that's what I want to stick to. And I'm a man of my word, and I expect other people to be a man of their word per se. And that's all I wanted to come on here. I've bent you guys' ear enough. I'm not asking for any approval. I just want you guys to know how all of this stuff happened, and it has not been a positive experience. And the one reason that I really wanted to come on here, other than that, is yes, Ryan's correct. There is a solution for this. But back in December, when Jeremy and I first had these conversations, I feel like the city should have came to me and said, hey, look, what can we do to fix this? But this has gone on since December, and it took me last Monday going, hey, look, this needs to change. I've done the research. I've looked up probably 30 cities across Arkansas, and the solution is that this needs to change. But that took me coming to the city to do that. It should be the city coming to me going, hey, look, we want you to build this property. We want this to work, but that hasn't happened.
Okay, well, again, it sounds like we're saying the same thing. Let's fix it, which we're on the same page for that. I'm sorry for the experience that you may have had that have been negative, but it's also not the only project on the city's table. I'm not trying to minimize yours. I think yours is a great project, but you can't expect perfection from everybody. What you can expect is for people to try to do the right thing with the information that they have. We've gotten additional information. We've got to plan forward on it. And had it been applied for under the code as it was correctly, or had it been correctly applied for initially, even though you got bad advice, I'm not blaming you for it, but had it been applied for correctly under the code initially, we wouldn't be here. So everybody has some things that they have to deal with in this. We're working through it, like Ryan said, with a solution on how to make it work. And I'm sorry that you had that experience. We're trying to make sure it doesn't happen again and that we get it fixed. So that's about all I think I can offer at this point, unless the mayor has something additional to add to that.
I think you and Ryan have succinctly clarified the situation, Ginger. To be honest, you're right. Governments aren't perfect. We're people. And if you were at the last the Board of Adjustments meeting, I think there was a very public apology on the process, and it is what it is. And we're working together to make sure that the process is honored, and to make sure that we set appropriate precedent moving into the future.
All right, so I just want to say, this is Gibb. We need to support Kelly in this. We need to get to yes, and I appreciate Ryan, his work and working with Kelly. We need to get to yes. We can't say, well, we gave him some bad advice, but it is what it is. We can't. That's unfair to him. So I want to encourage Ryan and to continue to work with Kelly and in the planning commission, and we need to get to yes.
Okay, so I'll step back, Gibb. Those weren't exactly encouraging words that I offered. All right. So at the last planning commission special meeting, there was a yes solution presented, and it was retracted from the table. Okay. Ryan actually made a motion to approve the conditional use permit, but because Mr. Rather did not want to accept the conditions that went along with the conditional use permit, he retracted the motion. So we left the meeting, and the planning commission had agreed to do some more, I call it, I guess, research into this, which delays the process. So we are working to get to a yes. We are doing that.
Sir.
I think you're leaving out a little bit of information, Mayor Reed. Yes, there was a motion to approve it based on commercial code. This is a residential project. It's zoned residential, and I'm being asked to supply stuff and go by a commercial code.
I don't want to belabor this point any longer. Again, I just want to respect everybody's time. However, 2 months ago, I asked what was the path forward, and one of the paths forward was to approve this as a multifamily. So there's been a yes on the table for a long time, and that has not been the option that's wanted to be selected. So there's been persistent multiple meetings outside of the regular planning commission meetings to accommodate the process, including last week's special meeting. And we were going to approve it last week, but because it's the applicant's choice to not utilize the approval of the conditional use permit as a multifamily project, which it falls under the technical definition of, we're looking for yet another way forward to do it. So I don't really want to say anything else about it in this forum because of time, but I will say there has been a good faith effort on everyone's part, the administration's part, the community development department's part under Jeremy's leadership, certainly under the planning commission's part. And again, you've got to remember, you have volunteers on the commission who are well-educated, thoughtful, and give their time. They know what they're doing. And we have the guidance of the state's best expert in planning, Mr. Von Tunglen. And we got people who understand what they're doing, and they've given their time in good faith towards a solution. So I hope everybody can go away tonight knowing the project is needed, the project is wanted, the project is supported, and that the city's been working in good faith. I won't characterize the actions of the city in any other way than that. But as a member of the planning commission, I see it from both sides. I also have to put business before the planning commission, so I understand it. I have to put business before planning commissions in numerous municipalities in multiple states. So I see a lot of context. And that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate Kelly's approach to say, where can we look to find model language that would make sense? And so again, I support that. And if the path forward was not desired by the applicant that we were going to approve last week, let's find another way to approve it. And so we are. So I want everybody to go away understanding there is support for it. We will make a way for it. We are going to create a rule that everyone can have a similar project approved. And I'm grateful for Gibbs' encouragement, and I appreciate the city continuing to move forward in good faith.
We're going to move forward. Kelly, I'm going to give you just 2 seconds to have any last words that you got for the council.
That's all I have. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor, I just need a clarification, and thanks for everybody's work on this. So the path forward, just so I'm understanding, is going to allow Kelly to do this. Is it going to add significant cost to his projects?
Yes.
Ms. Bridges, respectfully, that's not the case, but I can explain it in another forum if you like.
Yeah, I'll get with you tomorrow or sometime.
Yes, ma'am.
If I may just, I'll try to be as quick as I can. If the code is updated, if Jeremy or Planning Commission update the code and supply it to you guys next month, and you guys vote on it to change the code, and it is approved as a residential project as it should be, then no, it will do everything as my plan originated from 2 years ago. But if it is deemed as one multi-use facility or one multi-use structure, and it is deemed to fall under commercial code, then yes, this will cost more money for me to complete my project.
Okay.
Well, Kelly, I would just like to thank you for coming to the council. We don't always know about what's going on in Planning Commission, so thank you for bringing it to our attention. Thank you, Ryan, for your expertise. Not only that, but for offering your professional time and opinions on explaining to us how the process works. I just want to say that we have such a need for rentals in Lone Oak. It's unbelievable. We have another project that is forming to do a similar project that you're doing, Kelly, and I'm anxious to see how smooth that process is. We definitely don't want a negative reputation that we're turning developers away. I think our whole basis and transparency is we're out there campaigning for them, doing just the opposite. So I'm going to put my faith in the Planning and Zoning Commission that they're going to figure out what we're going to have to do to move forward in 2022 to encourage more people to put their investments in Lone Oak and provide the housing and the rentals that we need to do to continue growing our city. So thank you, Jeremy, and all those that are involved on this process.
All right, guys, next on the agenda is our executive board reports, and we're going to move right into that. Alyssa, are you with us?
Hello, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Ready when you are. You've got the floor. Go ahead.
All right. If you'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, I wanted to start by sharing some of the event dates that we have for 2022. We are going to be celebrating Founders Day on Sunday, May 1st. This is going to be in coordination with the Downtown Little Rock Partnership's 501 Day. It is a holiday that was started last year to just put emphasis on what makes all of the communities in the 501 area code great. It is an awesome opportunity for us to not only do really fun things for Founders Day, but to get some promotion in different areas across Central Arkansas through Downtown Little Rock Partnership, through the city of Little Rock, and then all of the surrounding communities. So we're really excited about that. I'll share more info as it comes, so put that on your calendar. And then we also set a date for the IDESA Arts and Music Festival. That is going to be Saturday, October 15th. That is also homecoming weekend. So we are planning a lot of fun events in conjunction with the Arts and Music Festival that will keep people in the community for homecoming weekend and just promote the history of Lone Oak. So keep that date in mind as well. Update on Lone Oak Road to 150. We had a January top activity and giveaway winner, Jamie Sutherland. She's doing awesome logging her activity. She's been on the leaderboard every single week. She also won our first giveaway. As of right now, we have 22 residents who are registered for the program, 80 members in our Facebook group, and we're looking forward to having some in-person events in the upcoming months. And we have an update from the Loan Up 2022 Beautification and Recreation Committee. The team has awarded the Winter City Storefront Awards to Lions Drug and Gift Store at 115 Front Street and Ambi's Salsa at 116 South Center Street. So first place went to Lions, second place was awarded to Aunt B's, and that's January through March. And I will spare you guys all of the details about the criteria that goes into the awards. We'll post it on our social media page so you guys can read it later. We have a lot of exciting things coming up in the next couple of months, and I look forward to communicating with all of you city council members. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to talk about any of these events, activities, awards in the future.
All right, thanks, Alyssa. You guys have any questions or comments for what she's doing? All right, then. You guys were given a calendar of the events that are going on at the Lonoc County Library. That was in your packet. And Mr. Gene Eagle, if you would, you got the floor for an update.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. This month, we got a presentation that the council got a chance to listen to from the developers with Terraforma. I continue to spend quite a bit of time working with them on a couple of projects. We responded to one particular request for information to the state of Arkansas. It was called Project Gateway. And I want to specifically thank Thomas and Jack for taking some extra time to provide me some information that I needed at a real quick time and on a Friday to be able to respond to that. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Jack. Tonight, I think there may be some continued discussion about infrastructure. When the council gets into that discussion and maybe look at Jack Bond's estimate of costs for bringing infrastructure, water, sewer to the project west of town. That's where I'd like to kind of weigh in on public utility infrastructure. We've gotten some estimates from Entergy and from the natural gas company. I'd like to just explain what they're saying their needs are to see big projects like this developed. And with that, I'd say we continue to also evaluate our grant program for downtown. And Mayor, if you have anything else that you'd like to add to that, I know that you've asked for some additional feedback on that. You and I hadn't had a chance to talk about it, but I know you're working on it, and I've been thinking about it as well. And with that, I'll take any questions that anyone has.
Anything from the council?
Hey, Gene, are you going to share that information with us later about the utilities?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Gene, appreciate it. All right. First administrator's up, Jeremy, with the review of the discussion we had at our last condemnation meeting. So Jeremy, if you're with us, you've got the floor. I can't hear you. Maybe you're muted.
I apologize. I've had some internet issues at my house, so I'm going from my phone. So I'm learning to do Zoom on my phone at the same time. I apologize. Okay, start off with the condemnation meetings from last month. We moved forward to condemn 2 of the properties. One of the properties has been demoed. That was on Washington. That one is gone. The other one, there's been some activity on. I received a message from the owner of that property. They were requesting to get a building permit. They showed that they had financing on that and had given a schedule to have that property improved and able to be rented, or able to have someone to move in or live in that property by April. And so they're asking that we suspend the resolution to tear it down. This is on 216 Frank T. Button, by the way, the second one that we had passed a resolution to condemn. And so I was bringing for the council to discuss whether or not we wanted to. I told him I could not give him that permit because a resolution had been resolved to condemn it, but that I would come before the council to see if they would suspend it or relook at it and give him an opportunity to improve the property because it would, obviously, if he improved it, it would save the city from spending the $4,700 to tear it down. And so I just wanted to bring that forward and see what the council wanted to do on that.
Jeremy, this is Ryan. What is your recommendation on that?
My recommendation is I recommend that we at least suspend or retract the resolution until the following quarter to see if the owner of the property holds true to his word and does follow the schedule that he's given me. And if they do not hold to that schedule or delay it in any way or don't do what he says he's going to do, we still can move forward with condemning the property. It just delays the city having to move on that option.
Only thing I would say is I appreciate the thoroughness of the projected plan. They put some thought into this, which is great. I would just say we probably need to, as long as there's activity has begun during that window of time, I would absolutely think we could have some leeway on the start and end date just because of the uncertainties of construction market right now, and particularly beginning during the wet season, rainy season, spring, we're going to have a little bit of maybe some weather delays. But that does look like, to me, just looking at a projected start date and projected end date, looks feasible, and I would think it's reasonable. So if that's your recommendation, Mr. Mayor, I move that should it be a resolution, or what's the appropriate action to take to retract or to?
Well, what we usually did in the past was we would delay it and give them 30 more days to show improvement.
But we've already
given 30 days.
We've already moved to condemn it, so we essentially need to undo that action with Ginger, some type of motion, correct?
Yes, you've got a couple options. You could do a motion to rescind the resolution, or we could do a motion just to delay the implementation of the resolution, which it sounds like that's the option we were really looking at, to delay the implementation of the resolution pending progress being made according to the schedule submitted by the homeowner.
Can we attach the submitted schedule as a condition of the resolution?
I think that would be a good idea. I mean, obviously rain or weather could cause that schedule to not be exact, but
yes,
so long as that schedule is substantially adhered to, it's substance over form here. We're looking for it to be fixed, not necessarily exactly 10 weeks, 70 days,
yes, everything
be done, but it ought to be pretty darn close to that though too.
Yeah, yeah, it's a pretty reasonable schedule. So the motion is to rescind.
And
or delay the implementation.
And
that's the motion.
I think Jeremy's trying to talk, sorry.
I apologize, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that I can, at every council meeting, give an update to how the progress is going to that schedule so that we can keep an eye on it to make sure that it's still on track. And if it's not on track, is it weather? Is it lack of effort, or how that kind of goes?
My suggestion would be that we have a motion to suspend the resolution pending further action pursuant to the schedule presented by the homeowner. So basically we still have the resolution out there, and that's kind of our stick, but our intent is that so long as Mr. Chivers is able to get it done, we don't really want to go forward on that so long as he's making good progress on it.
Well, like I was gonna say, what we usually done in the past was we voted on a condemned building to give that particular party 30 days to show improvement. And if he report to Jeremy within 30 days and let's say he has made some improvements, then we would give the additional 30 days. And then that way it would stay on the condemnation list, but they're given time to improve.
Yes, sir. I think Ephraim absolutely has it right as far as the keeping our thumb on the process. I think what Ryan's getting at though is the actual legalese of the process of what's the process to do the process. What's the process to allow for the suspension of the resolution, because we've already done a resolution to tear it down, but we're trying to suspend that resolution right now to give him the time that Ephraim's talking about to be able to show the progress on there. So everybody's talking about the same thing. It's just Ryan's talking about the form of how it's done. Ryan and Ephraim are both talking about the substance of what will be done. So again, my suggestion would be the motion would be to suspend the implementation of the resolution that was entered related to the Chivers property, subject to progress being made on the reconstruction as set forth in his documents. It's a little bit wordy, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
I second that motion.
Well, I can't make a motion, so somebody else has got to make the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we suspend implementation of the resolution to condemn property at 216 Frank T. Button Street in order to give the applicant time to pursue progress per the submitted schedule.
A second, Mayor.
All right, we got a motion to suspend, and I've got a second. Any discussion on that? Very well. Don't forget to unmute your mics. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Very well, motion carries. Jeremy, anything else? Has anybody got any comments or questions for Jeremy? All right, moving on then. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, Chief, you got the floor. Fire report.
All right, good evening, everybody. Now, before you should have my last month's monthly calls. Looks like we had about 33 of them, 16 being fire and 17 being EMS related. We were out about 30 hours, it looks like. I do have one thing for action tonight. I'd like to go ahead and purchase 4 new portable radios. I've got 2 quotes in front of you. One of them's from Motorola. That would be the ones that I bought last time, but I've discovered that I found some cheaper ones and the ones that might work a little bit better. So I want to go with Kenwoods this time. I'm sorry. And that's from Smith's Two-Way Radio, and it's going to be $12,031.04.
I move that we accept the bid from Smith Two-Way Radio for $12,031.04.
I second it.
I got a motion by Miss Alice, and I think Suzette was in there first, Corey, so I'll give her the second there.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
There's such a drastic difference in the prices. Are you getting everything that you need with the Smith products?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Motorola is just expensive. I mean, you can throw them against the wall and they'll work, but I'm hoping I won't have to throw this other radio against the wall and make it work. So it is what it is. Motorola's got the state contract, but these are actually cheaper, and Chief Edwards has been using a version of it for a couple of years now, and they've been working good. So we're going to go ahead and get these.
Okay, thank you.
Regina, can you hear me? I just noticed the estimate says sales tax is not included. So if we make a motion for 1231, are we going to get stuck without being able to pay the sales tax?
We don't have to pay sales tax being a volunteer fire department.
Okay, not a problem.
Tax exempt.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, I've had a motion and a second. Any other discussion items? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, Justin, anything else for us?
That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
All right, we'll move on. All right, Mr. Shivers, you get the floor.
All right, how are you guys? And I hope you're doing good. Everything was pretty good with the water department, sewer and street department this month. Had a few leaks, but Rob and his crew got on pretty good, knocked them out. I do have 3 items here that I wanted to talk over with you. So I guess we'll go cheapest to largest. First of all, I'd like to upgrade the electrical service at the oxidation pond. We've got 3-phase in to the point to where it's in between the 2 ponds, and it's single phase to the rest of the way of the back. I just want to upgrade it to 3-phase so that we could add some extra aeration into the pond. I think we bust on our sewer permit when it gets really hot and the algae blooms and stuff. So just want to try to prevent that if we can. And that would be in the total of $5,439.06. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
You said that the upgrade would be necessary for future improvements.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
additional water and sewer lines that you're looking at?
No, ma'am. What the next step would be to get some form of aeration, just to help the dissolved oxygen. Because when it gets real hot, or like I said, the algae starts blooming, it sucks all the oxygen out of the water. So we're putting it back into the bio. We busted on some permits in the past just for a couple of months out of the year. So I'm just going to try to avoid that. So we would do this first, and then I'll look into what type of aeration we want to add to that back pond.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve getting that electrical upgrade.
Second, Alice.
Motion is made by Coy Buller, seconded by Ms. Alice. Any further points? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next.
All right. So up next, our Kubota Traco that we use to dig the ditches. We got to get tracks on it. They're cracking really bad. I think this is kind of a yearly deal, and probably something Jim and the mayor probably just, decided, hey, go get tracks. You need tracks, but the price of them it's just crazy how much they've gone up. So we've got 3 prices from 3 different places. From Heavy Equip would be the cheapest. Hennard out of Searcy would be the middle price, and Heritage Agriculture out of Stuttgart would be the most expensive. I think Heavy Equip is who we've been using to get them in the past, and they're the cheapest place too. So just however y'all want to do it.
I move.
Go with Heavy Equip at Little Rock.
Second, Alice.
Thank you, guys. Motion is made by Michael Florence. I guess second by Miss Alice. Go with the Heavy Equip estimate. Any discussion on it? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That also carries. Next.
All right, next on the list is our chipper truck has went down. We've just been, over the last probably 3 to 4 weeks, just been hauling limbs to the shop to chip them up there. So if y'all need any free mulch, we got plenty. So the fuel system went out on it. We got a quote of around 10 grand to replace it, to get it operational again. Kelly Blue Book says the truck is worth about 10 to 15,000. So I went out trying to get prices on new chipper trucks, and we've kind of looked at every option from a truck with a empty chassis to either put a new PTO and chipper box on the back, or transfer the one off of our old chipper truck onto it, or just getting a truck that's already built to be a chipper truck. And we've got there's not many out there, but we've got prices kind of all over the board. And so I guess my question would be kind of which direction the council would like to go with it. And I've got different prices for different type trucks. If y'all want me to read those out, I'd be happy to.
I have
What
a
is-
question. Got the Russell one that's a 2020 model. Is that still a new truck?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's still brand new.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I want you to get what you need. What do you need?
Well, I mean, we need a truck, one that's going to last a while. The mayor recommended going with new. I was glad he did. We're using them every day. So really any of the options that I put on there would, be great. I think, I'd like to already get one already put together, mostly because we could get it a lot sooner. These pretty weekends, people are already starting to cut limbs and stuff like that. So we've already seen over the last probably week and a half, 2 weeks that there's a lot more limbs out there now than there was, before.
Thomas, I'm sorry, Thomas, it's Suzette. Are you leaning more toward one of them than another? Or do you feel, because the prices are so varied?
Sure.
I
So
mean,
the one I'm leaning towards, would be the more local one, that Russell Chevrolet. I want to say either the salesman or maybe the sales manager, something like that. He's from Lone Oak. I can't remember the guy's name, but I feel like he probably knocked a little bit off the price. And it is a 2020, but it's brand new. And so that's the one I would be, leaning towards, that, or the one out of Kansas City, Missouri. A guy from Cabot actually found that truck, but there again, it's $20,000 more. So, just either one of those would be the ones I would like to get.
On the truck from Russell Chevrolet, it says just need to add box to dump bed. Would that be an additional cost?
No, ma'am. So the way that truck is already sitting, it's got a flatbed dump truck bed on there. And so what they were going to do is take that bed off and just and give us a credit, kind of, sort of, and put a chipper box on the back of it, all for the 85,723.
Okay. I move that we accept the bid from Russell Chevrolet with Thomas's approval, that it meets his needs, and purchase the 2020 Chevrolet.
I second that motion.
All right, thank y'all. I've got a motion by Ms. Allison, a second by Suzette, to go with the Russell Chevrolet estimate, the 2020 model that's been presented to you guys. Any discussion on it?
Hey, how much did we budget for that? I assume we budgeted plenty.
Well, we actually didn't budget anything. This went out right after the council meeting last month, and I was still getting the numbers put together when the budget meeting happened. So I wasn't really prepared to throw the numbers out there yet, but this is kind of an emergency type deal that just kind of sprung up on us.
I remember, Mike, too, the water budget was a little bit different this year because of Jim Kelly leaving and Tom coming in. They put a kind of a lump sum line item into a contingent fund.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, does that fall into the contingent?
Well, this is definitely even if we had more line items fragged out for his budget, this was definitely probably an unanticipated purchase for sure.
No, I agree with that. I'm just asking how much money did we set aside for that contingency?
Regina, can you answer that?
Right off the top of my head, the one thing I will say is this purchase is over 20,000. So that requires us either to put out for sealed bids, use a procurement contract, or pass an ordinance to waive the bidding process.
Which we probably should, the motion needs to be stated to really put out for bid if we're going to go forward with this.
I noticed on the budget for the street fund, there's a line item of $65,000 for maintenance of vehicles and equipment. Could that be used to purchase a truck or toward the cost?
Well, that's actually to maintain what he already has.
Okay.
Because other things are gonna break before the year's out.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding from talking with Thomas is that we would pay for this out of the water department because the street department doesn't have the funds to buy a vehicle at this time.
Oh, okay.
So back to my question, we did not budget for this. It's not part of the contingency. And I understand the transition piece. But it wasn't. There's not enough money set aside for this in the budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Well, we need a chipper truck and there's out the other one long time out. I'll make a motion, put it out for bid.
Mayor, I just have a question. So we don't have the money in the streets department to buy it, but we can take the money from the water department and give it to the streets department to buy a vehicle. But we can't do that to help the water department to help other departments. Is that correct?
I think what you're asking is what we mentioned earlier, is taking money out of the water department to fund the police department. Is that your question, Coy?
Yes.
I think if I may answer, I think the answer to that is because water and street use similar equipment. Like this is this piece of equipment may be used for the water department in some situations and for the street department in other situations. And it's traditionally been something where there was a little bit of a bleed over in their budgets. I mean, some things are strictly water or strictly street, but a piece of equipment like this is something that's used for both purposes that may even be within the same project.
Have we found clarification from the municipal league if we can use water funds for the police department or not? If not, I think we need clarification on both sides.
No, I've not heard back from municipal league on that.
I think the answer to that is no, but I agree with the mayor that we should get municipal league approval of that first. There's certain things based on bonds and things like that where you can't take certain things from other budgets, and Regina's probably a better expert on that than any of us. She's shaking her head no, but I disagree. She's the expert on that. So let us get back with you on that.
So I think we need a chipper truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that we need to know how we're going to pay for it. And we need to be legal on all of it. So whatever checks need to be made, that needs to happen. I'm totally in favor of getting a new truck, but we got to do it right. And we need a budget for it.
In the contingent, miscellaneous contingent stop payment fund on the water budget, $202,236 is the on that line as the proposed budget.
There's actually more than that in that line now because of funds that didn't get spent last year that rolled over. So it's
good.
Could
was almost
possibly have
400,000.
300 and some odd thousand in it if we bring in the revenues that are projected.
Yeah, I think the copy I saw was like 397 or 399, something like that.
I think we're just kind of talking in circles at this point. To Gibbs' point, the way forward, as I understand it, and anybody can correct me here, we need a motion to put out the bid for this truck, and the water revenue will be used to make the purchase.
Do I need to rescind my
If you would,
original?
please. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, I rescind the motion to purchase the truck.
Okay, and if you want to, you're welcome to amend that and just put that back on the table, Ms. Alice, or somebody else can, but we need somebody to make a motion on the way forward, which is to put this out to bid so that we can get sealed bids in.
I thought Michael Florence made that motion.
Yeah, Michael made a motion.
Okay, Jerry Beth, did you get a second on Michael's motion?
No, I do
I
not.
second.
Thank you, Ephraim. All right. I got a motion by Michael Florence and I got a second by Ephraim to put this out to bid. Any other points of discussion?
Should we not get a approval from the municipal league that we can transfer those monies from one department to the other?
And I also asked, do we have the money to buy it?
Yes, the money is in there. That's what Regina was just saying. There's more than $200,000 in that account.
Okay, so pending Coy's question, I would support it.
Ginger, I'm gonna let you be the final word on that. I mean, we can take extra precautions. We can delay this decision and come back next month, pending municipal league's advice, or we can move forward with an understanding that we're allowed to use the water budget to make maintenance purchases for the streets department.
I believe the answer to this is yes. I believe it's also wise to get that cleared through them. I think maybe we could modify our motion to say that we're putting it out for bid so long as we can use these funds in this way. As pending municipal league approval.
Mike, is that clear?
I'll amend my motion to say that.
Jerry Beth, is that clear to you?
And I still second it.
Thank you. So really the motion is just amended contingent upon the municipal league's response.
Yes, that's the way I understand it. We are, yes, if I have a question, I'll ask, but I think I understand.
The motion is to put it to bid for the purchase of this vehicle pending municipal league approval of the transfer of funds from one of these departments to the other.
Motion was made by Michael and seconded by Ephraim. All right, we'll take it to a vote, guys. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any other questions for that motion passes? Any other questions for Thomas? All right, moving on then. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the report.
Sure.
All right, Chief, you got the floor.
Good evening, everyone. In front of you have my monthly report for January 22. In January, we received 221 complaints or dispatched calls and 112 911 calls. There's some more numbers there. Moving on down to outside detention, we billed to immigration $90 and we billed to probation and parole $4,672 for a total of $4,762. Does anyone have any questions about my monthly report? I'm going to move on. Again, I wrote the letter to the council and I hope everyone had a chance to read it. I'm not going to read it in its entirety for time purposes, but I am going to hit on the key points. K-9 Officer Richard Cross has put in his resignation effective tomorrow, and our K-9 dog Leia, we do not have a home for her within the department. We don't have anybody capable nor willing to be a K-9 handler at this particular time. With that, I have been thinking on ways to attack this situation and address it. But I need the council's approval or recommendation to which way we need to go. Option one is I can have an employee within the city or with the police department house her for the time being and keep her fed, keep her maintained until we can find a K-9 handler. The pro to that one is we won't be spending a lot of money housing her in a kennel situation, a boarding situation. The con to it is don't know what kind of how much she's going to be worked and kept up with her training and abilities. Second option is we board her in a kennel that is meant for police K-9 working dogs. Leia will be getting the attention she needs, the proper ball work as we would say, to keep her motivated and keep her up to with her abilities. The bad part about that one is going to cost about $1,000 a month to house her. And right now, I don't know how long that would be. It could be a week or two until somebody came and applied that had the abilities, or it could be several months to a year. I don't have an answer to that. The third option is we regretfully sell Canine Leia to another law enforcement agency. Luckily, right now, the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office is seeking approval to purchase a new canine to replace one they have retired. Pro to that one would be she would be able to work and finish out her career, which is probably about 4 to 5 more years, as long as she stayed healthy and depending on the handler. Another pro to it, she'd be working within our community, had the capability of doing that as well, and be close to home. I put in there numbers of what she would range, she could bring to the table depending on her abilities. Speaking with some people that know what they're doing, she would bring anywhere from 65 to 7,500. Depending on her working ability. I think I was speaking with Regina, and we purchased her in 2019 for $12,500. I do know that some city funds went into this. Also, some donations were made for that purchase. So I'm regretfully asking some guidance and a decision made on what we are to do with Canine Leia.
Matt, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's Suzette. Is there ever an option that another police department would possibly lease her from us until we can find a handler that could take her back over? That way we could actually make money and not lose money on selling her right now, but keeping her active and in a positive situation?
I've never came across that situation before. This I'm speaking on my opinion, and I do not have a lot of knowledge of working dogs. That's never been my forte, but I do know that the dog's life capacity, working life, is a range from 8 to 10 years. We have already had 2 handlers with this, with Leia. The more handlers she has, the difficult, it's like changing your partner multiple times. You have to declare a bond with the handler, and the handler with the dog. And I just don't know if that would be feasible on her end as a working dog. I know that it would possibly be a benefit for the city, but for the capacity of her being a working dog to optimize her abilities, I wish I had someone here that could take her. Right now, I don't. I wish I had somebody with some longevity, keep her the rest of her time, but I don't. I just don't know if that would be feasible for her to lease her and then get her back. And I don't know of a department that may lease her. I know that the sheriff's office would probably be in their best interest to purchase, because they do look for either a brand new working dog or to get a dog that can give them enough time to justify the purchase. Good idea. I just don't know if it's feasible or not.
I agree, it's a good idea, but I think we got the best option on the table with selling her to the sheriff's department and continue to use her here in our community, correct?
That would be a great possibility or a great asset. Yes. I mean, she wouldn't be stationed in this area, but we would be able to call for, we call for assistance with canine through the sheriff's office anyways, when she is not working. So we have that working relationship with the sheriff's office. So whether it be canine working or, us assisting officer to officer, the relationship between the sheriff's office and I, or the police department, has grown tremendously over the past few years, and will continue to grow.
I move that we accept the option 3 that the police chief has recommended.
I second that, and I want to add, I did a little reading on K9, and it did say in the reading that I done that the dog tend to try to please the handler when you change the handler often, and sometimes, most of the time, it's to a negative fall as far as being hitting on a drug car or drugs. It hits because it want to please the owner and the handler instead of actually finding the dope. So I'll second that motion with the third option.
All right, thank you, guys. I've got a motion by Gibb, Richardson, and second by Ephraim to move with option number 3, which is to sell the canine officer to the county. Any further points of discussion on this?
I want to clarify real quick something on that motion, if I may. We really need to watch the wording on that. The sheriff's office is interested, but not confirmed. So my request, if we're going with option 3, is to sell canine land.
Gabe, was that your motion, to be clear?
I still support that.
And Ephraim, is that your second as well?
Second.
Thank you, guys. Jerry Beth, you good on that motion?
Yes, I am.
Mayor,
Hey, I do have another question for Matt.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Are you thinking there is a possibility we can get another officer that will be a handler? One question, and if it costs $1,000 a month to board the dog, if we incentivize one of our officers we have, or maybe one coming, with that money or part of that money to do that, would that be an option?
The thing about it is right now I have 2 officers, including this one, vacant. I have one that is seeking employment possibly elsewhere. I've got 2 right now that are pending training, that they're going to the academy. They have to be certified officers before they go into that next step. I'm not receiving any applications as well as I should to fit this, and to find a canine handler, someone that has the drive and the passion to be a canine handler. It's far and few between with my pay scale.
So Matt, I want to make sure we understand this. Currently, you have 2 officers on staff and one is leaving?
Ma'am, no, ma'am. I have 2 open positions starting tomorrow. 2 open positions starting tomorrow. I've had one for probably about 3 to 4 weeks. I've got one that's potentially seeking employment elsewhere. And then I also have 2 right now that are new, that are not certified yet, that I can't use for the canine handler. The other employees, I'll just put it out there. I've got 2 that are retiring this year. I've got one is in is the SRO program. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and my numbers may not be right. I'm just looking up, that are not interested in being a canine handler, and you have to be interested in being in a canine to efficiently work a canine, or we are wasting money and time. So that's my issues. My staff is not willing, and I don't have a capable person applying.
It just seems to me that there's more to this conversation than a canine. It almost seems like we've defunded our police department, and that concerns me. You know, I'd like to hear more information on that as well, of your capacity. And I don't know, is there like a standard number of officers that you should have on staff for a population of 4,300?
The mayor has provided me with numbers with the capacity, I guess you would say, of employed police officers within the population that we currently have. My issues that I'm seeing is we are dealing with more non-residential area residents coming through the city due to Interstate 40 and the call volume that we've had there just last year. We've done a little study, which has not been presented, and I can go into depth at a later time, but the conversation's on the table. We see more people. We are serving more people, just say, coming through our town and focusing all of our time with that rather than serving our own citizens and patrols and things like that, because we are constantly getting called up to the police towards the interstate, the north part of the city, dealing with travelers issues, other states' problems, domestics on the interstate. If y'all can remember, and I know that y'all will, because this will never be forgotten, just last year, this month, one of my officers was shot multiple times due to a trafficking situation of a child. That's the type of stuff that comes through our city. Some we are made aware of, some we are not. Sometimes they just keep on going. We never know about it. But the population, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, our population that we serve, we have X number of officers to serve our population. But my motto is anybody that comes through our town, we are servants to as well. Whether it's a traveler on Interstate 40, Highway 70, any of the highways, Highway 31, anybody coming through Lone Oak, while they're in Lone Oak, we're going to serve them. Policing is different.
Matt.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but back to the point. I made a motion to go with option 3. That
yes.
We sell her, and you're spot on, bro, and I support you. But everything that we're talking about, I think the sheriff's department is going to support us, or the state police, right?
They do support us, and we support them in turn.
Do we need the dog now with the situation we have on your police force?
And during the current situation, we cannot feasibly have our dog due to not having anybody to work her. That's what is being presented in this letter.
And that's all I'm trying to do, man. That's to get back to that.
But I understand that, but I think we interrupted his conversation.
That's a conversation for another day. This is where we're at. That's being presented.
There's a motion on the floor and it's been seconded. It was made by Gibb and it was seconded by Ephraim. We were in the point of discussion on this topic when we started going down more of a working session. All right. With that said, motion is made, seconded. Jerry Beth, you good with the motion as it's been written or presented?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, don't forget to come off mute. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion to go with option number 3 passes. Anything else for Matt? Matt, do you have anything else for the council?
Yes, I do. The dealing with the K9 vehicle, the Durango, I've got 2 options for it, and this is what I'm requesting. I request that we take all the equipment that we had for the K9 out of the vehicle and house it for a period of time, and then utilize the Durango as a patrol or police vehicle until we can come to some other situation down the road. But the equipment that we put in there last year that roughly cost $10,000, I can either sell it now and optimize the most amount to get from it, or we can hold on to it for a short period of time until we can make decisions, because I don't want to sell it now and then 6 months from now we're able to, have a K9 and get a K9 back and things like that, and we've got a $10,000 system that we just sold. So my option is to house the equipment and utilize the Durango, but I am leaving it in your hands.
I'm not sure that needs a motion. I just support your recommendation that we just we hang on to the equipment.
Sounds good. I have nothing further.
All right, then. Last shots for anything for the chief before we move forward. All right, thank you, Matt. We're done. You get the floor.
All right, in the package you should have for parks, I'm looking to buy 2 loads of red rock. This is going to be for field 7. We're turning it into a multi-purpose field, so we'll be able to play baseball and softball on it. The red rock from October, from when I got the prices on it to now, the red rock is still the same price, but the trucking has gone up. I had $7,000 in my budget to buy 2 loads. The price I got last week is $7,696. I can take $696 out of a line item for dirt, sand, and rock to make up for that.
Roy Don, where are you getting the red rock from?
Alabama.
Okay.
That's where it comes from.
Okay. I just didn't see a bid on that. I'm sorry.
I sent the quote to Regina. Regina, is it in the packet? I'm sorry.
I'm probably just overlooking it.
Yes,
But-
it's Sherwood Lawn and Landscaping is the company that is billing us for it.
That's how
Okay.
you have
That's
to come
what
through.
I thought.
Yeah, it has to come through a middleman to
Dealer.
get to us. They just don't sell
Okay.
to individuals no more, or city and towns.
Well, this says $3,848.
That's for 1 load.
One
We're gonna
load.
need 2 loads. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Each load is 24 tons.
So if we're looking for a prompt, I need to take a motion to entertain Roy Don's request to approve 2 loads at the current estimate that's been provided.
So moved, Coy Butler.
Second, Efren.
Thank you, guys.
I
Motion
just
by
want to make sure that I'm putting it in here the right way. That's 3848 times 2, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
motion's been made by Coy Butler and seconded by Ephraim Jones. Any other points of discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Next.
Next for the parks, for the baseball park is baseball and softball uniform bids. We put them out to bid. I don't have the copy of that with me. I turned it all into Regina. There was 3 bids. One didn't bid all of it, just a partial, just socks and belts, I believe. And the other 2 bid everything straight up. And let's see, it was Rayburn Sporting Goods and Sports Stop out of Little Rock. Sports Stop had the best bid for the uniforms out of that.
Is that your preference to go through Sports Stop?
I've dealt with the Rayburn's for 18 years out here. He's never missed an opening day. I'm not going to say Sports Stop's not going to make it. Rayburn sponsors a team out here every year. He furnishes jerseys and hats for one team, which is a total of about $750. And when we buy uniforms in the past, we've always, after we bought the uniforms, he gives us a 10% discount on all the equipment we buy from him, which is about another $500 to $600 we save. I can call Mike Rayburn or Brenda Nettles over there at Cabot, and they deliver stuff on Sunday afternoon when everybody else is closed. If I have to have it for a state tournament or something, baseballs or something like that, they have done that in the past for us. But I'm all for whoever got the bid to go with them. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, I've dealt with it, and we put the bid out.
That's a change.
What's the bottom line? What's the difference in the 2, Roy Don? Bottom line, if you factor in the other stuff they throw in.
You're talking about out of 275 uniforms. Way we figured it up, if you factored up, it could save you anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. But then you add in what Mike Rayburn does for us, you're talking about $600, maybe $700.
Okay, I'd just like to say that his investment to sponsor a team is for $750 is his investment in advertising. And I don't think we ought to factor that into it.
I've just thrown you out what he does. So
That's the other guy doing that.
So it's up to y'all. Y'all ask me who I prefer. I like to stay. I like people that I build a relationship with and do with, but I can build a relationship with Sports Stop also.
Hey, and I do too. Hey, Roy Don, I'm just saying, let's don't put that into the objective numbers.
I agree. There's a process in place for a reason. I'd like to, I need to get a motion from the council so we can move on.
All right, so a question, so take out the $750 they invest in for advertising and sponsoring.
They probably save us around $1,200.
$1,200.
Yeah.
I think that answers Mike's question. Is that right, Mike?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I move we accept the lowest bid for the uniforms from Sports Stop.
We got a motion. Do I have a second?
I seconded Suzette.
Thank you, Suzanne. I got a motion from Miss Alice to accept the bid from Sports Stop. It's the lowest bid. I got a second by Miss Suzette. Any further discussion on this? All in favor of it, say aye.
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 Aye. Up to like.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna ask again. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, you've got one. Jerry Beth?
I got
All right.
it.
Sorry, Gibbs. Sometimes there's a delay. I'm just trying to clarify. All right, that motion passes.
All right, in the mosquito control, I've got one thing I need to go ahead and put on in there is in the budget, I had a truck to be bought. And the way the trucks and everything's running late right now, I probably need to go ahead and try to order this to try to get it in here by May. so we can get it ready to start spraying mosquitoes. It's on state contract bid. And it was for $22,620.
Is this part of the budget?
Yes.
I move we accept this bid that Roy Don talking about.
Second, Efren.
Thank you, guys. I got a motion by Gibb and I got a second by Efren to accept the mosquito contract. Any questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? And then motion carries. All right, anything for Roy Don?
Don, I just want to clarify something just for the public. So the reason we don't have any local bids on the uniforms is because there's no one locally that is able to supply them.
I went and hand delivered the bids to each one of them, everybody local. I hand delivered 4 bids. 4 bid sheets out to the ones local, and no one bid on it.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that for the public. I do know
Yeah.
you did that, and
Yes, ma'am.
and we appreciate you doing that, because certainly we would want to give anyone local that opportunity. One other question. When you collect sponsorships in town, where does that sponsorship money go? What is it applied to?
Well, when we register kids, everybody pays $75 to register their kids. That money goes in there, but our uniform cost is always more. All right. And then you got to buy baseballs and equipment for these teams and stuff. So with all that being said, the sponsorship money and the registration money goes to help buying uniforms and equipment for the kids throughout the year.
And there's still sponsorship money that's available for signage, sponsoring teams, things
Yes.
of that nature.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's what I've been working on. I worked on it all today and started last week, because I've got to have the sponsors that goes on the team jerseys ready. As soon as we pick teams, I got to turn it all in so we can get the uniforms in within a month.
And I know that you're still accepting those donations. We may want to put that out there
Yes, ma'am.
to let people know that. Okay,
Even if
thank
they-
you, Roy Don.
Even if they don't want to sponsor a team, we got kids that we don't turn no kid away. And if they want to put money in there, that way it helps pay for their registrations.
Okay, thank you for your work on that.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
also ask the members of the council to shake the tree. And if you know anybody that would help us coach, please step up and ask them if they've got the time to call Roy Don and help us coach the league, because it's an odd time for labor all across the board, and volunteers are no exception right now.
And we're trying to hire people in the concession stand and everything. We've got out there, we didn't have but 2 applicants for the concession stand workers so far. I need more applicants.
Maybe we could share that on Facebook.
I
If
sure
the
hope-
city would put something out that, or someone, we could all share that on Facebook.
I'll put it out again on Lone Oak Ballpark Facebook tomorrow, but we put it out through the city's website also. We've had
that'd
it
be-
out for over a month.
Thank
Right.
you.
We'll move on. Anything else, Roy Don, you got for us?
No, that's
Very
it.
well.
Thank
you.
y'all.
All right, Mr. Mike, you got the floor, sir. You're muted. There you go.
Still muted. Oops.
There
Can
you
you hear
go.
me?
There you go. Yes, sir.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. Just want to highlight memberships had a pretty big jump. And now we got to retain them. Events, Baptist Health on the 23rd. Again, they'll be giving the COVID vaccine. And so if you don't have it, if you need a booster, They'll be out there on the 23rd. Member of the month is Patty Adams, Miss Patty Adams. And we should have our fitness room, the new fitness room we discussed last month. It should be hopefully by April, from 1st of April to mid-April. We should have the equipment in. We get the floor in Friday, put in Friday. So we're moving along with that. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Mike, for being concise. Any questions? All right, hearing none, we're going to move on. All right, we have no old business for this month, but we do have one point that's been on the agenda, and the other, if there's no objection, then we'll ask the council to move on. But the first is point A, which is administrative services contracts between the city of Lone Oak and CAPDD to continue managing or to manage the block grant that we received for our special use path. You guys received the contracts, a one-page contract, very simple. It outlines the scope of services, as well as the price for their management fee, which is $32,500 to be paid in 2 tranches. I need a motion from the city council to approve that contract.
So moved, Ryan.
Second, Michael.
All right, motions by Ryan Biles and second by Michael Florence. Thank you. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, contract passes. All right, secondly, guys, I put it in quotes because if there's any objection to this, we'll delay it, though time is of the essence, and I'd like to ask the city council's consideration to move on this evening. I put the email that I received from Jack Bond in the packet, and also this is an extension of our working session request, which was that I was going to ask the city council to approve a capacity study on the what's been identified as the industrial site northwest of town. Capacity study essentially is what type of utilities can the city actually invest in: road systems, water, sewer, gas, broadband, to what extent, what might be the costs, and having Jack in our corner as the probably most knowledgeable about all of our city systems. I asked him to give us an estimate for this, and in your email you can see the cost of that is going to be $7,500. Now today I was able to get in touch with our representative at Entergy, and they've agreed to partner on this with us, okay, for the sum of $2,500. So the cost to the city, which will come out of industrial development funds, will be $5,000 for Jack to conduct this report, $2,500 of which would be sponsored by Entergy and reimbursable once we've paid. The way this report would be used is would be foilable by any developer that would be looking at this property, and would give Gene way more leverage than he's currently had in some of these discussions in terms of infrastructure and utility questions. Gene, do you have anything you think you should add or needs to be added to that?
No, I think you made a good call to see what Entergy might do to help with the cost of the study. I will say that the study needs to be comprehensive, not only city utilities, but gas and electric. And just to let everyone know that Entergy has responded with what they think our electrical capacity could be. They're telling us that they can bring close to 15 megawatts, and that's what we've understood. But when they do that, there's a cost associated with it. It's work that's need to be done at our substation, changing the circuit incorporation into a double circuit design and bringing that to the site west of town. Then there'll be other costs that may be like a new breaker and other equipment as the acquisition of the right of ways. So, and they're estimating that might cost $8 to $10 million. And what we would expect is that the end users would be looking at that and paying that in their service bills based upon the demand and them signing a supply agreement with Entergy. That's just how that normally works. But it's a big number to bring that electricity over to the site. Same thing with the gas supply. The gas company has looked at this project. Their high level estimate comes out to be approximately $8 million. So these are numbers on top of what you're seeing in Jack's numbers to bring electricity and water and sewer to the site. And the sources of the money, again, the end user pays a lot on the public utilities that are provided. Where the city would be asked to participate would be with the federal or the state agency to help bring the water and sewer and the roads. So it's a big project to figure out the sources and uses and line them up. We've gotten the Central Arkansas Planning and Development District lined up this week for a preliminary meeting just to go through this exercise. And so I think that it's good to have these discussions. It helps us prepare. Every time we do this, it helps us have information to prepare to be ready for the next time. And if it doesn't come to fruition on this project, then the next time we're more prepared. And so yes, it'll be money well spent. It's not cheap, but we've got a partner. I totally support the recommendation to get this information.
Thank you,
All right,
Gene.
so Gene, the motion right now is just to spend $5,000 for Jack to do a study, and some of the things that you shared tonight would be included in what Jack brings back to us after doing his study, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's got to be a comprehensive look. He's got to understand what the utilities weaknesses are in terms of the service and how we would, or how the projects would pay for it.
And Gib, I want to clarify.
I'm not trying to belabor this, and what I'm trying to get to is we have a motion, I wanted to make a motion to support what the mayor just asked for. It's $5,000 to no.
So let me clarify that, Gib. I'm sorry. So 2,500 is reimbursable. Okay. So in the end, it would cost the city 5,000, but we're going to spend what Jack's estimate was at $7,500 per his email, and then be reimbursed for that 2,500.
Yes.
So
all right, I'll make that motion for $7,500. Understand? Okay. And
I'm sorry, Kim.
Yeah, no, and all the other discussion about how much the millions of dollars and all that will come in the future when we hear from this survey, correct?
Yes, and when you see a project, and that's what I think my point is, when companies just want to build a building here and there's no tenant, then there's no contract for service with a utility. So just building a building without tenants is not the solution. We can't supply the city's money to have a spec building based on, oh, that project might come or one might come in the future. These things are all driven by job creation activities, projects that would locate here, create jobs, and provide capital investment. That's what's going to drive the utility companies and the government agencies that would help us. And we don't need to be putting our money into infrastructure unless there's a project that's going to return capital back to the tax base. And that's just in a broad statement. That's how this works. And I'll be happy to spend more time on that with anybody individually. If we want to discuss it further, I can.
Absolutely great information for what we have pending in the future on the west side of town. I appreciate that. But back to the motion tonight, I move that we contract with Jack Bond for $7,500 to do the survey.
I've got a motion by Gib and I got a second by Ryan. So thank you guys. And we've already discussed it. Any other points of discussion before we vote? Okay. I'm not going to get into this tonight. I want you guys to come talk to me if you have any questions. If you remember in the presentation, Edgerton, Kansas was used as a case study. I called and had over an hour-long discussion with the mayor of Edgerton, Kansas, and I've got a lot to report from that. Tonight's not the night to get into it. It's been very positive, okay? So there's a lot of ramifications, positive ramifications that come from this type of development, the ability to lower your property tax rates and yet still increase your revenue flows to, per se, departments like our police department, okay? So this is very important. There's things we have control over, things we don't have control over. This is the next step for us, and preferably would have been made years back so that we would have had this information at the beginning of some of this conversation. So I appreciate the motion, Gib, and as well to Ryan. If there's no other comments, then all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you guys for pushing that through. That carries. All right, Mr. Woody Adams is here tonight. I know, trust me, I've been watching the clock for some time. Woody, if you would, Woody's in here because he's with a company called Inline, which is in your packet. We got an estimate late Friday, it was added as soon as we got it, for $167,000. Now that's a big number. But we've got 11 streetlights that are up by the McDonald's intersection that are inoperative or not working correctly. And there's a reason for that. The heads were changed out years back at the tune of about $14,000 from the old hubs to the LEDs. But a lot of the wiring is unprotected, and we've got some just real structural issues with our electrical poles that are set out there, and it's kind of a safety issue. And I see it every time I drive north. I want to see these lights lit up. So we did our diligence and got an estimate. That's obviously a huge number. So I called Woody and I told him. So I called Woody and I spoke with him about, what the future might actually look like here, because we've got RDOT that's going to be moving in. What I found out today was this project, this overpass was supposed to start in August of this year. And tentatively, they're looking at probably April. That's unofficial. Okay. But we probably will be into the first quarter or not, into spring or later before we actually see RDOT breaking ground in Lone Oak in 23. All right. With that said, there may be, I don't want to spend I don't want to ask the council to move on a $170,000 price tag to fix lights that actually might be completely redesigned in a matter of less than 12 months. And so we may have to suffer through, some outages up there for a bit in order to be more prudent with how we move forward on that fix. That's why I wanted Woody to attend tonight, and bless his heart, I told him it'd be about 7 o'clock. And he's been patiently waiting since slightly before that. So, Woody, would you mind just kind of telling the council a little bit concisely what we talked about today and maybe what you're proposing as a best fix for us so that we don't cross lines with what we want to see and what RDOT's actually going to propose or may actually install?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. What we found out there, and your lighting circuit for the 40 interchange there at Highway 31 actually has 15 lights on it. There's a leg on each of the on and off ramps. And then there's a section that you are speaking of that is also encompassed north of the interstate there in front of McDonald's. And that, and I say it that way because you have 5 different service points feeding the lighting circuit in that entire interchange. We were notified by Ms. Vonda. We had replaced the signal heads there at 70 and Center Street that she had gotten notified about the wiring out there. So we went out and looked at it and got a count on all the lights and mapped everything out. All of the wiring that is out there is aluminum, which is not necessarily a non-starter. It is acceptable, but it is not optimum for a roadway lighting circuit. There's too much potential for it to overheat because it is aluminum instead of copper. That being said, what you're needing lit up right now there by the McDonald's will be encompassed in the 061613 RDOT job. The 12-foot wide shared use path that is proposed to be installed there does come across the overpass and then follow along your lighting circuit through that interchange there in front of McDonald's. So it will be touched when the RDOT project comes through. I would suppose that you would get new poles and new installation because they are changing the geometry of the roadway and the curbs and right-of-way areas there. So the poles will be getting replaced when RDOT comes through. When we first started looking at this was just to get you into a good standard with all of your lighting circuit through that entire interchange. With the new information that you've given to me and then a little bit of research there at RDOT and finding that out, I think you could probably get an assessment done on the circuit there in front of McDonald's to the north of Interstate 40 and have repairs made. The number one repair would be your service point. The service panel there, it does not have an inside cover. It has the outer lid, but it does not have an inside cover, and it is fairly rusted out. There's no surge protection. Grounding is questionable. That would need to be replaced. We could possibly keep the wiring that is in the ground in place. We would need to do a check because I did notice a few pull boxes that had been crushed by mowing crews, and the wire inside there where the lid was crushed has been crimped and the casing has been creased significantly. So that would need to be checked out to make sure that it would be safe to energize again. But I think we could make some repairs to what you have there and not do a full replacement and get you by. And I think that would be money well spent, is, you know, to get this along until the RDOT project comes through and you would get a complete new system.
Woody, I appreciate that. I don't mean to cut you off. If I did, I
No, sir.
Be rude about it. So the reason I brought you on board and gave you a few moments to speak is when I want the council to be aware that that's, and the public, that that's not being ignored. It's actually a kind of a hot topic. And two, that I'm going to hopefully bring a proposal. I asked Woody today on the telephone to put everything basically he just said into an email, so that we have it in writing and then we can present it to the city council at the next available opportune time. Any questions before we get to a closeout here on that situation? Woody, thank you for your time tonight. You didn't have to be here and you volunteered it, so I appreciate that. So thank you very much. All
Yes,
right,
sir. Thank you, Mayor.
that moves on. We're done with new business. I need a motion to pay the bills that were presented.
Motion to pay the bills, Michael.
Second, Coy Ballard.
Motion is made by Michael, second by Coy Butler. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Any announcements from the council? All right, again, I do expect this to be our last Zoom, hopefully, fingers crossed, and we will see everybody in person at the next month's city council meeting. With that, if there's no objections, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move,
So
Coy
moved.
Ballard.
Thank you, guys.
Second, Susan.
Appreciate it. Suzette, any objections to that? It's been a long night. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor.